My name's Gill Frigerio. I'm an Associate Professor in the Centre for Lifelong Learning at the University of Warwick. Well, I'm a teaching-focused Associate Professor, so my role is involved mostly with management of teaching programmes. In my subject area that I lead, we run a series of professional development programmes for people working in career development and in coaching. So they might be working in schools, universities, organisations with adults who are trying to get into the job market, all sorts of different roles. Well, I really love supporting my students with their learning and particularly helping them to put that learning into practice and develop their own professional careers. I enjoy leading my team, a team of great, enthusiastic and committed teachers who are always looking to ways we can work together to improve our programmes. I enjoy the scope that I have within my job to be involved in career development work nationally and internationally. I chair a learned society, and so I've organised conferences and events and written and so forth in the wider career development world. And I enjoy working with a lot of really great people across the university. Well, there's some interesting differences. So, for example, in terms of promotion, in professional services roles, if you get promoted, it's into a new job or a regrade of your job because your responsibilities have shifted. So you're doing different things. Whereas for an academic, you apply for promotion, trying to demonstrate your achievements across areas like research, teaching, impact and leadership and management, but it doesn't actually affect your day-to-day work. I think I would say that I found working life to be more flexible as an academic, as long as you meet your teaching commitments and get everything done. That can make it harder to manage your boundaries, however. When I was in professional services, there was more of an emphasis on providing that service when it was open in office hours. So, we all had to be there to open up and stay until the career service closed. But I would say that in both roles, you're kind of managing what the institution needs from you and what your professional area or your scholarly area kind of needs from you or requires of you, and what you want yourself for your working life. And those ways that the institution might form judgments about your effectiveness for your work are going to be different, but they're still there. Well, it's a long time since I had my babies, but I had quite a good experience in terms of flexible working. So, for example, I was promoted whilst I was pregnant and able to come back into the new job after my maternity leave. And when I returned to work, I did so on a 4-day working week. So I had a bit of help, really, in terms of getting that balance right between my home life and my work life. But I think it's really important as an employer that we're supporting everyone with caring responsibilities, mums, dads, and other forms of caring as well, caring for elderly parents, and that we're flexible and help people to balance their range of commitments across their life. Well, I've got two things that I'll tell you about in terms of bigger projects. This is a textbook that I've just co-authored with two colleagues who work at different universities. And it's a textbook for people who are training to be working in career development. And so we're doing some work around this because it kind of positions career development work as not just the work that you're doing when you're face to face with a client, supporting their learning in a one-to-one or a group session, but also about the wider work that you do to advocate for your clients, to work with employers, and to manage and develop services and do research in your practice context. So I'm thinking a lot and working about how we teach career development practitioners. We teach them a lot of theory, but we also need to help them learn how to integrate that with their practice. So some stuff about teaching, particularly there, I'm thinking about how we assess our learners. It's no good just asking them to write an essay. We need to look at them doing their work in practice, either on placements or through recordings or things that they do like that. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that I've been really fortunate to be able to do my doctorate whilst I've been in this post. So I completed my doctorate a couple of years ago. It's about calling and career development, particularly for women, and about how we find our calling through our work. And so I'm doing some work now to disseminate that. I've got a journal article that I'm hoping will be published soon. And I'm doing some events and other forms of writing so that practitioners can think about how they could work with calling in their practice. Well, it's always a challenge. The advance of open access publishing has helped, I have to say, even though, of course, I have got access to a fantastic university library. But open access publishing means that a lot of scholars, when they get something published, they will push it out in their own channels. So it comes directly to my LinkedIn feed or my inbox. So that is a really helpful way, even of just seeing what's been published, even if I don't have chance to read it all. And yeah, I try and keep my eyes and ears open and see what's happening across the landscape, not just in terms of formal publishing, but what research people are doing and what's underway. And it's really important to develop networks, and I'm part of a pan-European network at the moment, which is developing some new research. So that helps as well. Well, the same advice to give myself now. Know your worth. It's important to know what you're bringing to work, what you have to offer. And if you're not sure about that, get a team around you who can help you to work that out. I think it's really important to know who your supporters are. Also, I would say be open to feedback, learn from it, and try not to take it personally, because you also know your worth. So those two things, I think, are the main things that I'd say to my younger self. Well, I think in working in higher education and in career development, I've been pretty fortunate. I work in an environment that's actually sort of weighted towards women. Predominantly, it's women. We have to think about why that is. I think the bigger picture tells us, though, that we're not there completely in terms of workplace equality. And a lot of that is about gendered expectations that form really early on in life with children. And that affects people's career development. And that's how we end up in a situation where we know that we haven't got equal pay, for example. And flexible working, of course, has implications for what your pension pot's going to look like. So, and that's aside from the kind of wider issues beyond work around access to healthcare, gender-based violence, those sorts of things. So we do have to remember that the world isn't an equal place. And of course, that's just not just about gender. That intersects with other issues such as ethnicity, disability, sexuality. So we need to take a kind of intersectional approach to thinking about justice and equality and diversity in the workplace. I think it's really important to know what work means to you, but also to keep that in perspective. So quite often, I think in some jobs like being an academic or maybe being a teacher or a doctor or something that you feel very strongly identified with, yeah, it's great. Your career can be an important part of your identity and you can feel called to it and you can feel like it gives a lot of meaning to your life, but it's just part of life and it's just a job. And if things change at work, if the context means that it's best for you to step away from that job and you're able to, then there'll be other ways in which you can live out that calling, find meaning, find your identity. There'll be new things that you can do. So there's a sense of balance and boundaries and seeing the big picture that I think's really important. I don't always get that right, but that's an important thing that I'm constantly learning about.